wondered what income tax looked like when it started? How and who started it, and how has it evolved over the years? Hello and welcome. I'm Jyoti Arora, a tax expert at Clear. We are India's largest tax and financial services platform, and we have served more than 6 million plus return filers. Now, as we know, the strength of an economy depends upon how good the tax system is. A strong and just tax system can drive the economic growth of the country. This in turn makes the citizen happy and more productive. Now there are two types of tax system in India, that is direct and indirect tax. Income tax is a direct tax, whereas goods and services tax is an indirect form of tax. In this video, we are going to talk about the history of income tax and how it has evolved over the years. I'm sure it is going to be interesting learning for all of you because knowing what our ancient generation did leave us surprised that how far we have come. And also it gives a glimpse of how far we can go, right? But before we begin, I have an exciting announcement for you. We have a free giveaway for our new subscribers, which is a comprehensive guide for income tax returns in India for financial year 2021. This will help you with basic doubts you may have about return filing. To claim it, subscribe to our channel and you will find the link in the description box below. So now let's begin. It is a matter of general belief that taxes are of recent origin, but there is enough evidence to show that taxes on income in some form or the other were levied even in the primitive and ancient times. Nearly 2000 years ago, an official order from Caesar Augustus was found which stated that the world should be taxed. Caesar Augustus was one of ancient Rome's most successful leaders. Also, Greece, Germany and Roman empires are said to be one of the oldest civilizations, and these countries have tax references in their ancient scripts. Now, let's see the first ever evidence of tax in our country, India. The earliest archaeological evidence of taxation in India is found in the Ashoka's pillar inscription. The inscription talks about tax relief and taxes paid in parts of income like 1/8 or 1/6 of citizens' income. Taxation in India is also rooted in the period of Manusmriti and Arthashastra. Variety of tax measures are referred in both of these ancient scriptures. Manusmriti was written in the 2nd century BC, which is more than 2000 years ago. It is believed to be the first ancient legal text and constitution among many dharmashastras of the Hindu religion. In ancient India, sages used to put down their ideas on how the society should run on these manuscripts. Manusmriti was one of the first Sanskrit texts to be translated into English in 1776 by British philologist Sir William Jones and was used to construct the Hindu law code for the East India Company. Manu, the wise sage and lawgiver of ancient India, who wrote Manusmriti, advised that the taxes should be related to the income and expenditure of the subject. He also cautioned the king against excessive taxation, stating that a king should neither impose a higher rate of tax nor exempt all from taxes. Manusmriti stated that the king would arrange the collection of taxes in such a manner that the taxpayer should not feel the pinch of paying taxes. The script read that traders and artisans should pay 1/5 of their profits in silver and gold, while the agriculturists used to pay 1/6, 1/8 and 1/10 of their produce depending upon the circumstances. The detailed analysis given by Manu on the subject of tax clearly shows the essence of a well-planned taxation system even 2000 years ago. Taxes were paid in the shape of gold coins, cattle grains, raw materials and also by rendering personal service. Talking about Kautilya's Arthashastra, which deals with the system of taxation in really an elaborate and planned manner. It was written sometime in 300 BC when the Mauryan Empire was at its glorious upward move, again which is more than 2000 years old. In the Mauryan system, the collection of land revenue formed an important source of revenue to the state. The state not only collected a part of the agricultural produce, which was normally 1/6, but also levied water rates, octroi duties, stalls and custom duties even back then. Taxes were collected on forest produce, mining of metals, etc. Goods imported from China and other countries were also taxed, which was known as Vartanam. There was another levy called Darvodaya, which was paid by the concerned businessman for the import of foreign goods. As the records of the imports and exports were easier to keep, there are references of taxes around them in many civilizations. According to Arthashastra, each tax was specific and there was no scope of arbitrariness. The schedule of each payment and its time, manner, and quantity were all predetermined. Kautilya's concept of taxation is more or less similar to the modern system of taxation. His overall emphasis was on the equity and justice in taxation. The affluent had to pay higher taxes as compared to the not so fortunate. People who were suffering from diseases or were minor and students were exempted from tax or given suitable remissions. The revenue collectors maintained up-to-date records of collection and exemptions. Kautilya also laid down that during war or emergencies like famine or floods, the taxation system should be made more stringent and the king could also raise war loans. The land revenue could be raised from 1/6 to 1/4 during emergencies. According to Kautilya, the power of government depended upon the strength of its treasury. He has described the tax administration in a great detail in Mauryan Empire. It is remarkable that the present-day tax system is in many ways similar to the system of taxation in vogue about 2300 years ago, which aimed at maximum social welfare. This was all about the ancient tax according to our Vedas. However, now let's see the history of our income tax after the start of British rule. What do you think about our ancient tax system? Was knowing about the ancient tax system exciting? Please comment in the comment section below. British rule became established during the 19th century. After the Mutiny of 1857, which was the first war of independence against the British rule, the British government faced an acute financial crisis. To fill the treasury, the first Income Tax Act was introduced in 1860 by Sir James Wilson, who was India's first British finance minister. The Act received the assent of Governor General and came into effect immediately. Income was divided into 4 schedules taxed separately as income from landed property, income from professions and trades, income from securities, and income from salaries and pensions. This act was then replaced by several license taxes. In 1918, a new Income Tax Act was passed which repealed the previous Indian Income Tax Act, and it introduced several important changes. Income Tax Act 1918 was replaced by another new act which was passed in 1922. This year remarks the organizational history of Income Tax Department, as for the first time, specific nomenclature was given to various income tax authorities. This remained in force until the year 1961. The 1922 Act was amended 29 times between 1939 and 1956. A tax on capital gains was imposed in 1946, and the concept of capital gains has been amended a number of times thereafter. The Income Tax Act 1922 had become very complicated on the account of innumerable amendments, and so the Government of India referred it to the Law Commission in 1956 with a view to simplify and prevent tax evasion. So in 1956, Nicholas Carlyle, a British economist and a professor of Cambridge University, was appointed by our then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru to design an expenditure tax system in India. He submitted an extensive report for a coordinated tax system, and several taxation acts were enacted. The Wealth Tax 1957, the Expenditure Tax Act 1957, and the Gift Tax Act 1958 came into force. The Direct Taxes Administration Inquiry Committee, under the chairmanship of Mahavir Tyagi, submitted its report on 30th November 1959, and its recommendations took shape in the form of Income Tax Act 1961. In consultation with the Ministry of Law, finally, Income Tax Act 1961 was passed and was brought into force on 1st of April 1962. It applies to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Since 1962, several amendments of far-reaching nature have been made in the Income Tax Act by the Union Budget every year, which also contains the Finance Bill. After it is passed by both the Houses of Parliament and receives the assent of the President, it becomes the Finance Act. At present, there are 5 heads of income: income from salary, income from house property, income from profits and gains of business or profession, income from capital gains, and income from other sources. There are 23 chapters, 298 sections, and 14 schedules in this Income Tax Act. In 1974-75, there was no income tax for those earning up to Rs 6,000. The marginal rate of basic income tax was kept 70% on the income slab over Rs 70,000. The rate of surcharge was reduced to a uniform level of 10% for all categories, and the combined incidence of income tax and surcharge would amount to 77% of the taxable income in the highest slab. In 1985-86, Vishwanath Pratap Singh restructured the tax structure by reducing the number of income tax slabs from 8 to 4. The highest marginal rate of income tax on personal incomes decreased from 61.87% to 50%. Those earning less than Rs 18,000 had to pay no tax, whereas the rate of income tax on the slab of Rs 18,000 to 25,000 was fixed at 25%, 25,000 to 50,000 was 30%, and 50,000 to 1 lakh was 40%, and on income in excess of 1 lakh it was 50%. The gift tax was then abolished in 1988. Also in 2010, the Direct Taxes Code Bill was presented by the Finance Act to replace the Income Tax Act 1961 and the Wealth Tax Act. However, the bill could not pass and got lapsed. Later, the Wealth Tax Act was revoked in 2015. This was all about the history of income tax. As you saw, even our ancient generations were smart enough to have a tax system in place to run their economies. However, the manner in which this system was implemented has evolved largely with technology, time, and learnings of previous generations, but the main essence and crux of the tax still can be traced back thousands of years ago. And that's amazing, right? This was all for today. Thank you for watching this video. Hope the video was helpful to you. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such informative videos. Also, do not forget to click on the bell icon so that you get an update as and when we upload new videos. Stay tuned for more such updates. Take care. Bye-bye.